you are working harder than your money. You need to make sure that your money works harder than you. That's what investing is all about. And if you invest tax efficiently, now your money is not just working hard, it's breathless and it's panting and it's sweating. It's trying to help you to work less. Everything in finance that is simple and straightforward usually costs you money. If it's too simple, and like people say, oh, I don't want to use a limited company to do local, they should just take the 40%. I'm like, really? In the UK, there's a tax even till death. It's called inheritance tax. And if you do nothing about it, if you don't do any good tax planning, it's just sad seeing people having to give up like 40% of what they worked for all their life, and their families might have to sell their house.
I will keep attending these things because every time I attend, I pick, even if it's no matter how tired I am or whatever, I always pick something new. So today I've picked three good things. So I'm really happy.
Okay. So now we talked about ISAs, and I tell you, ISAs, there are a lot of nuances. We talked a few things on ISAs. There are other issues like people think about, if I leave the country, can I still use my ISAs? Okay, I hope you know that your lifetime ISA, you can contribute to your 50 years, and after 50 years, you can't contribute anymore. The maximum you can put in a lifetime ISA is £4,000, and if it's a junior ISA, the maximum you can put is £9,000 per year. But all your ISA allowance in a year is £20,000. I'm sure you know about all that already. But of course, you also realize that lifetime ISA could actually be shares or cash. For instance, if you're buying your first house, you want your lifetime ISA to be in cash because you don't want to gamble or be investing money that you're going to need in the next 2 to 3 years. But if, for instance, you're not buying your first house, you have now bought your first house and you're thinking about investing, it seems a bit funny to just leave your money lying around till 60 years. Just every year I'll put 4,000, I'll get £1,000. And remember that after 50 years, you can't contribute more money to the lifetime ISA. Therefore, the government is not adding any extra £1,000 for you. So if your money is just lying down in cash, our dear friend, inflation is going to attack it. So that's why you want the money to be working. My lifetime ISA is not in cash, even though I'm below 40, but I'm approaching 40. But my lifetime ISA is not in cash, it's in stocks and shares. So this is something for you to think about. Again, this is not for personal financial advice. I'm not telling you to pull out your lifetime ISA from cash, but I'm telling you what I would do and what I've done already. And I'm hoping that you can connect the dots, okay? Right. Now, there are a few other things we looked at. Some people asked about pension. I think pension is one of the most underrated things. Most people don't realize. People think, oh, pension, when am I going to get it? Look, in this country, any money you put into pension, you get a pension tax relief for it. That's a superpower for tax efficiency. How this works, some of you have got NHS pension. Before you get taxed, the NHS pension goes out. So you already don't get taxed on that. So if you have an additional pension, like a private pension, for instance, let's say Dr. Mary, let's say she's a consultant, she's just working in the hospital, she earns £100,000 and 12.5, that's the actual figure. 12.5% of her income is going into pension, so that's £12,500. And her employer is also contributing 23.7%. So at the end of the year, when you go to the next year, they look at pension growth. How much has that pension grown? And most times it is nowhere near £60,000. So that means you still have a huge pension allowance that you don't use. And Dr. Mary can say, look, I've used up my ISA and I'm thinking of what next to do. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the extra money I've got and pay it into a private pension, like a SIPP. Or maybe someone like, I don't know if Dr. Pepper is a full locum, but let's say Dr. Pepper is a locum and doesn't have an NHS pension. He can decide to create a private pension for himself. So self-invested personal pension that he can manage. He can use it to invest either in commercial property or in stocks and shares and bonds and REITs. So that's quite powerful, isn't it? Now, if Dr. Mary, on the other hand, has already paid tax on the money they put in their private pension, once they put that money into their private pension, they get 20% automatically back, tax back. So you get 20% of that money that you've already put into your pension. HMRC, the government will say, okay, take 20% back. That is where a lot of people make a mistake. They stop there. Remember, Dr. Mary is a HRT, higher rate taxpayer. She's paying 40%. So she needs to get the rest of that back. So if she's put like 10,000 and they've said, okay, take 20%, it's gotten 2K back, going back into the pension as tax relief. She should, through self-assessment, contact HMRC, whatever I need to do, to get back the remaining 20%. I prefer to do self-assessment than being on the phone for 30 minutes. So by the time you file your self-assessment, you can get the remaining back. So that's the superpower of pension. Imelda said it helped to reduce her tax bill last year. That is very good. I think I remember your lovely testimonial you gave us, video testimonial. I love it. I love video testimonials. And thank you so much for that, Dr. Imelda.
7. There are 7 steps to take before you even start thinking of investing as a doctor or healthcare professional. Now, this is really important to secure your financial foundation before you start investing. Now, I've covered these 7 steps in a simple guide that I've made available for you in the link in the description. You can download it. It will help you to build a solid financial foundation, avoid common investing mistakes, and also make tax-efficient investment decisions. Start your investment journey the smart way. Download the guide now using the link in the description, and good luck on your investing journey. Now, let's get right back to the episode.
So basically, pension is actually another tax efficiency. Remember, we're talking about investing here, but we're talking about tax. First of all, you've used your ISA to shield your future returns, your capital gains and dividends. Now you use pension to even get more tax back that can go into your future funding. So that's one way you can use private pension. But here is something I've never said in a video. I've said it in our 4 weeks masterclass. I've said it in our mastermind, sort of the private groups. Every child that you just give birth to, that is giving birth to today, the government allows people who are not working to have a pension. So if you're working, your maximum is 60K. But if you're not working, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, whatever you are, or you're a newborn baby, you can have a pension. And if you put any money in the pension, the government gives you tax relief on the pension. So they add some money on the money you put inside the pension. Let me say it again with numbers. If you put 2,880, that's a maximum net into a pension fund for a child, whether it's junior SIPP, the government will top it up to £3,600. That's the 20% tax relief. So that's one way. Some people will worry, I don't want to open a junior ISA. I don't know if my child is going to blow up the junior ISA when they turn 18, buy a Ferrari, do a big party. So one other way could be a pension, because SIPP, even for yourself, you can access it from 55 years. It's going up to 57 years in 2028. So your child, even if you're worried that, by 18, they wouldn't have any, some people say by 18, you never get sense in Nigerian parlance. Well, they can actually get it at 55. And even if you think, why would I be putting aside that money for 55? Remember, at the end of the day, it's still the money you're giving to your child. If you are probably going to give your child money at 20, 30, 40, maybe at 55, especially with the government topping it up. Not everyone has to do this, but that's an additional tax hack you can think about. So after you've done your own SIPP, if you still have money, you can actually do a junior SIPP for your child and invest the money. Right. Okay. And since you're talking about junior ISA, the maximum you can put in is £9,000 if your child is less than 18 years, and you can actually invest the money. It shocks me. Stop shocking me, but people will put in money in cash in junior ISA and just leave it lying around. The child is 1 year old. They're not going to get it for 17 years. I'm like, why is the money not working hard? Why are you working harder than the money? So this is the whole point of this seminar. You are working harder than your money. You need to make sure that your money works harder than you. That's what investing is all about. And if you invest tax efficiently, now your money is not just working hard, it's breathless and it's panting and it's sweating. It's trying to help you to work less. So make sure that your money is working harder than you. Right. I know after this SIPP stuff, people have a few questions. But if you've got a question, or if you want to send me a message, you want to chat about joining the masterclass, or you want to join the mastermind, feel free to send me a message. These are some of the doctors who have gone through the program. Some of the people who have also attended our events. That's Dr. Vanessa. I said, I'm really, really happy with the current service I'm getting from MONEYWISE Doctor. She said something more. She said that I give the practical aspect. And then there's Dr. Oge, who is a GP partner in London. Nice, clear, easy to follow information, very relevant to medical professionals and cultural research is a wonderful touch. And of course, a few other people here. There's Dr. Mukta, who attended our 4 weeks masterclass last year for investing. Right, so these are a few of the feedbacks. Right, so feel free, send me a message. I think someone in my team will share. You can take your phone and point it to the screen, and I think that barcode should lead you to our MONEYWISE Doctor community, or send me a direct WhatsApp. I'm able to reply you now, obviously, because I'm in this class. But if you've got questions, want to know about the class, and you want to, or basically just want to join the community, because it's not just about learning, it's also about that community accountability, people who would actually sort of gear you on. You can see people like, you see, oh, Dr. Evans, I started at the same time with him, and you see he's already gotten his emergency fund, now investing, and he's asking all this advanced question about SEIS and EIS, and he wants to invest £1 million. So having that community is really quite helpful. Okay, right. So any questions at this point, or should we go in and do the other aspects as well?
I'd like to know whether you would recommend additional NHS pension contributions or a SIPP.
That's an excellent question, Priya. Thank you for bringing it up. Obviously, I'll tell you my opinion of it, but that won't be a personal financial advice to you because, again, I'm not your personal financial advisor. But pension is basically pension from a tax point of view. Okay, you understand that bit. So if you end up getting up to 60K into your pension through NHS pension or through SIPP, is all considered as part of pension that you're going to get tax relief on. Okay, do you understand that?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Then going forward, the question is now, do I go for NHS pension or do I go for SIPP? Now, here's the thing. Most times, and we've tried this thing out with some consultants and also some in the registrars, so go and get your total reward statement. You could get that from your ESR, your electronic data, and find out what is your total reward statement so that you can work out how much is already going into your NHS pension. Then you realize that for most people, it's not up to 60K. And then they did the next step that we talked about. Contact your NHS pension administration and tell them you want to put some extra money in your pension, basically because it's a way to avoid the 60% tax trap. Because if you have more money in your pension, then that means it reduces your taxable income and is a way of restoring your personal tax allowance. You get back your 12,570. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying, Priya. Yeah. So now, when they contacted the pension administrator, they weren't allowed to put in the whole money. Sometimes they would be allowed to put in £8,000. Sometimes, because basically, remember, your employer has to contribute as well. As you contribute money, they have to contribute. So that doesn't give you full agency. That could be one way to do it. And I know a consultant who has done that and actually used the maximum extra contribution they can make, but they hadn't still hit their 60K. So they now had a SIPP to make a top up.
Sure.
So in that case, the difference, why would I prefer a SIPP is because the SIPP gives me more control. It's self-invested. I can decide where it goes. Priya, can you decide where your NHS pension is invested?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you decide? No,
Can
not
you
with
tell
the
them?
not with the NHS pension.
Yeah,
of
you
course,
can't. You can't decide. Basically,
Yeah.
it's a defined benefit. I don't think it's invested anyway.
Sure.
Basically, 75,000 people left the NHS pension last year. And it's a great pension and it's a marvelous pension, but you have to wait till you're 68, maybe 71 when they change it again. So that's the problem. I'm thinking if you already got NHS pension, maybe you want a plan B. You may not want to put your plan B inside your plan A pot. You might want it to be in a different pot.
Okay.
And another thing with SIPP, apart from the fact that you can use it, let me tell you something about SIPP. And it's very funny because I don't think I've said this one in the video as well. We already know that SIPP, you can get it at 55 years versus NHS pension at 68, and they're increasing it to 57 in 2028. But you could actually borrow money from your SIPP and buy commercial property. If your SIPP has up to £1 million in it, if you put up, let's say 500K, you can borrow up to 50% of money in your SIPP to invest in commercial property. And I've seen somebody do it beautifully. He basically used 50% of his SIPP pot to buy an office building, and then his business rents the office building.
I see.
Guess what? He was a former manager at the bank and then started working as a financial advisor. And when we were chatting about it, we were laughing at how fun is this system? Does it punish only people who only work hard and don't understand the system? So basically, his office is paying rent to his pension because his pension is business. How does that sound, Priya?
Excellent.
That's the thing. I think NHS pension is great because it's guaranteed final income. I know a lot of NHS pension experts will tell you it's guaranteed final salary, and it's great. There's no investment risk. It's index linked, so it follows inflation, and you're not likely to lose it at all. Except, of course, if you take your pension pot, 25% of your tax-free lump sum, and decide to invest it, and you have no experience of investing. I've seen people lose money like that. Yeah, I hope that helped.
Yes, it did help very much. But what are the when you have a SIPP, when you finally take your pension after you retire, or when you retire, when you're eligible to take your 25% tax-free lump sum, does it complicate things if you have a private pension, or it's all quite straightforward?
This could save you several thousands of pounds, not just in your taxes and pensions. Have you fallen into the 60% tax trap as a doctor or healthcare professional without even knowing? It's crazy. I know you think the highest tax you can pay is 45%, but here how it works. If your income exceeds 100,000, you start to lose your personal tax allowance, and by the time you hit about 125,000, you've lost your entire tax allowance. This means you're paying an effective tax rate of 60%. That's not good. You lose a lot of other benefits with it. Now, if it's something you've never thought about, or you're worried you're not sure how to navigate it, you're in luck, because I've written a very clear guide with a 10-point checklist that you can use to avoid the 60% tax trap. One of the biggest ones is obviously paying more into your pension, but there are 9 other steps you can take. Check the link in the description and download it for free. Let me know if it helps. Let's jump right back into the episode.
Everything in finance that is simple and straightforward usually costs you money. If it's too simple, and like people say, oh, I don't want to use a limited company to do local, they should just take the 40%. I'm like, really? By the time you fall into the 60% tax trap, you're now paying an effective tax rate of 60%. So I'm not saying it's complicated, but it is. There's an approach to it. This all requires a bit of planning, right? And this is part of why, even for those in the mastermind, I'll tell you that it goes beyond investing. It also goes about legacy. Do I need a trust? Okay, how do I structure to make sure I don't end up paying inheritance tax? Do I have a will? Do I have like my investments in the right place? Now, for someone who turns 55, they can decide, okay, at 55, let's say 57, Priya. I don't think, I can't see your face, but I can't, not that I can tell, but I suspect you're not yet anywhere near 57 or 55.
Oh, I'm quite close.
Okay, but let's say you get to 55 now and you decide to take your pension from your SIPP. Let's say you had a SIPP all these years, so you can take 25% tax-free, right?
Yes.
And you might decide to then continue drawing your pension from your SIPP every year, because then the rest of it is taxed as income.
Sure.
So let's say you're drawing out, how much can you draw out and pay zero tax on?
Draw out, and that's according to your 25%.
25% no tax.
Of your,
the lump sum. But then every year after that, sorry, I'm not putting you on the spot, but you asked a very good question. So I want to drive a message home so that you'll remember it. So after you've taken the 25% lump sum, the rest is charged as the rest is taxed as income. So if that's the only income you take out, how much can you take? Is a question you know the answer, but I've just asked it.
Anything above your personal allowance will be taxed.
Excellent, Priya. 12,570. So if you draw 12,570, there's no tax. If you draw up to 50K, you get 20% tax. And if you decide, oh, I want to draw 100K, you get 40% tax. So if you get to NHS pension age, then you can still do the same thing. You can draw your pension, draw 25% tax free, and whatever you draw is taxed as income. Basically, it defers that tax that you should have been taxed earlier on, especially in the situation of a SIPP. It defers it, it delays it. And what does it help you do? It allows you to make the money compound. It allows you to have the money working hard in the market and compounding. So that's finance for you, basically. I hope that helped.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Ino has a question. Ino is currently one of the currently delegates in the Mastermind, and Ino is currently doing the 4 weeks investment academy just as part of the package. And we've had 2 one-on-one sessions, haven't we?
Yes.
A very, very impressive lady. Yeah, what before you ask a question, what has been your experience of the Mastermind? Be frank.
The first thing I would say is it's really informative, and it's been very helpful to like overcome the fear of moving to a new country with all the things we hear about the UK, how you cannot make money in UK, how you can never be rich, how they will tax you to the last penny, you know. So it's been very helpful to learn all these, you know, tricks
Strategies.
and strategies. Yes, and I'm becoming more confident in the things I can conceive of doing.
Lovely. So there's always a system anywhere you go to. I know some of the people in the Mastermind are in Canada, 2 doctors who join us from Canada, and we're now all figuring out the system and their own tax situation. A lot of doctors move to Canada, they start earning money, and there's no NHS pension. They have to learn about investing, and then I'm getting all these calls, having to do one-on-one sessions by 2 a.m. And some of them were already in the Mastermind before they moved, so that's no problem. Right. Thank you so much. Like you said, in the UK, there's a tax even till death. It's called inheritance tax, and if you do nothing about it, if you don't do any good tax planning, it's just sad seeing people having to give up like 40% of what they worked for all their life, and their families might have to sell their house to get that money. Meanwhile, some of it could have been avoided. Right, let me not go into inheritance tax now. What's your question?
Okay, I 2 questions, because you just said something now to Priya that I didn't really get what you said. So the first thing you said is you can take 25% of your pension tax-free, right, as a lump sum. Then after that, you can now take, when you say take your personal allowance, is it the 12,570? Is it like £1,000 a month to, let's say, on an average in a year? What does that mean, that when you take it like that, you will still avoid being taxed?
You got it. I think how do you say the penny has dropped. What you understood was correct. So when you've taken your lump sum, it's tax free. Now, any money you draw out of that pension, then it's considered as income. Remember, you've never paid tax on that money.
Yes.
And even if you did pay tax, when you put it back in pension, they give you tax relief. So the government is now saying, "Can we have our pound of flesh, please?" But then says, "No, I'm not dumb. I've been through the masterclass and I know what to do." So can decide to take 12,570. Of course, you can take more. You might need more money in your pension, but remember, at that point, most people have paid off their mortgage. I might not have children in school. Or you might still decide to take 50K if you like, but the tax will now be 20% compared to the 40% you would have paid while you were still working. So there are many ways around it. And some people have other income from their investment. They might prefer to draw from their dividends, which is basically not tax-free. If it's an ISA, it will be tax-free. If you are selling shares at that point and moving to bonds, there will be no capital gains. Or if you've decided to take part of that pension and buy a commercial property. When we talk about commercial property, people are thinking about one large office. Even shoppers and uppers can be commercial property, as long as there's business happening there, commercial property. So that could be that the commercial property then pays you an income. Yeah, so yes, you got it correctly. If you draw any income from your pension, it's taxed at the current tax rate for income.
Okay, so if it's below or at the tax allowance rate, you will not get any tax.
There will be zero tax, basically. And I don't know why PT is still 12,570. It's very funny. It's what we call fiscal drag, because inflation is happening and the prices of things are going up. But But the personal tax allowance should have been about 20K. I should have been somewhere like 40K now, at least 10K. Basically, that's another stealth tax. Stealth. Like you're being taxed, but you're not seeing it. Because if the government goes out now and just increases the taxes, people will complain, the government will be voted out. But by not changing the ISA allowance, by not changing the personal tax allowance, you're all being dragged into a higher tax band. So basically, if you're a consultant, maybe or even recently doctors had some pay increase. I think there's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be a strike. If there's a new payment, the payment is also dragging into the new tax band. Yeah, so
Previous
that's
comment made me laugh.
exactly.
So they leave it forever.
Yeah,
Oh, dear.
maybe they will change it or not, but it's fiscal. We call it fiscal drag. So you're being dragged into a higher tax band. Inflation is already there. Even when your money is increased, it's not increased in line with inflation. So one weapon you can do is to be tax efficiently investing, because your investing is actually inflation working on your behalf. Meanwhile, fiscal drag and the rest of it is inflation working against you. And even if you buy only bonds or you just save your money, inflation is also working against you, I'm afraid. It means your money is much more secure. You're less likely to lose it, but you might as well put it under your pillow.
Okay, so my the question I wanted to ask really was about another thing you said that I wasn't sure I heard right, and that's about, you said something about your life ISA. You said
Yes,
you
your lifetime ISA, yes.
You can put it in stocks and shares. I didn't
Absolutely.
understand that. How's that?
Absolutely. So your lifetime ISA, you know how you just put 4K or whatever amount you put in and you get 25%. So usually when you're going to buy your first house is in cash, right? You can do it in cash or stocks, basically, but most people will advise, we usually recommend, is a better strategy to be in cash, because your deposit for your first house should not be in the market. Nobody can predict what can happen in the stock market. Now, when you bought your first house, you're not going to get access to that money again till you're 60. Also, you can't contribute more money into that pot after 50. So there's going to be a 10-year period where there's going to be absolutely no movement. Okay, where if it's in cash, it's just there's no more money going in. There's no money from the government, and you've got like this your pot of money waiting there, and whoever is using it for whatever, you might get a bit of interest, but who cares? Interest is not much. But if you bought your first house and then you switch from LISA cash to LISA stock and shares, the result of that is that same money is now in the market working, compounding. You see why it's good to have your camera on? I can tell when it gets the point.
I'm closing my eyes. It's just I've just been having a lot of eureka moments this evening.
We are meeting on Saturday again. On Saturday we'll go a bit deeper.
Just to say one more thing, that I will keep attending these things, because every time I attend, I pick, even if it's no matter how tired I am or whatever, I always pick something new. So today I've picked three good things. So I'm really happy.
And this is the free one. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. If you guys don't show up, then I'm just going to be one random crazy guy talking into a camera. That's not much fun. So it's nice to have these master classes and answer questions and share. It also feels like a good way to contribute. Okay, because a lot of medics are struggling. Thank you so much. Right. Okay. So I don't think there's any more questions. And for anyone who's still around, I know a mail that wanted to know about SEIS. It's just like a scheme that the government has introduced for years now. I've actually used it. If you're going to invest in a startup, whether it's a tech company or any of those, if you put in any money, you get like some cash back. So if you decide you want to put in any money into SEIS, you get 50% tax relief. That's a lot. So the highest rate of income tax relief is 50%. But you can put in only a maximum of 200K per year. Okay, that's how SEIS works. EIS, you can actually put on up to £1 million, but you have to leave it there for a good 3 years, and you can get 30% cash relief. And then there's VCT, like when you watch Dragon's Den and you hear them in Dragon's Den, look, they're not just helping like some poor entrepreneurs struggling and they're putting money. Dragon's Den is one of the best tax relief programs. Listen, it's a venture capital trust, and when they put in their money, they get 30% back of any tax they've paid. For instance, if you put in £1 million into a deal, they can go and claim 30% of $1 million, that's 300,000, from any tax they've already paid. So I call it tax back. The same way you say cash back, like the government gives you, okay, take back this tax because you're investing in, this type of company that is like for entrepreneurs. So that's VCT, Venture Capital Trust. I know someone mentioned they've done VCT. Right. Okay. So basically, I think we've come to the end of the evening. There's always a lot. I want you to give me some feedback. If you take your phone and point it, take your phone camera, or the link will also be shared in the chat, point it to the barcode, and please head over to the site. Just give us a quick feedback. You can just pull out your phone and do a video or just write the feedback for us. Those feedback helps us know whether we should carry on doing this type of sessions and if it's helping. So just point it there and make sure you get a link to the form. Give us a feedback. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And of course, if it has been a waste of time this whole evening, spending this whole 2 hours, then please want to know as well so that we can figure out how not to waste time.
Well, I hope you found that helpful. And more importantly, I hope it helped you to see investing in a new light. This is just a small section of what we cover in the full masterclass. If you'd like me to drop more of these clips, just let me in the comments. Comment invest and share this video as well with friends who may need to hear this. And if you are ready to stop winging it and guessing, guesswork is not good for investing. If you want to learn how to become a confident investor, to learn how to invest properly, check out our investing readiness scorecard with the links in the description. It will help you determine whether you're really ready to start investing and what you need to do before you even start thinking about investing to reduce the chances of you losing money. And until then, see you soon. Bye-bye.